Hi, today I am going to talk about my biggest struggles with BPD. Um, what I struggle with probably the most, and being a mom aggravates it, is the day-to-day fluctuations of life and just always staying nice and even keel. Um, I notice that with myself, I will have one day that I am really energetic and I'm do it all and super creative and hands on with the kids, and then a day or two later, I struggle to make lunch. I struggle to clean up the house and take time to do reading and stuff like that. So that is something that I continuously have to try to stop and pull myself together to say, okay, it's just one of those days that you're struggling. You need to engage yourself in small ways with the kids, but not necessarily have to be that level 10 super involved mom. And that's okay. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to put on a movie that day, to then have some quiet time with the kids so that I'm still there, but I'm not putting myself under that same pressure that it has to be perfect, that I have to be doing a wonderful job, because I do have this idea in my head that a mom should be able to cook all those nice homemade meals, that I should keep a very nice, clean home. I should be teaching my kids a whole bunch of things about everything, for making crafts, gardening, and all that kind of stuff. And that yet I should do things myself to keep on growing and becoming a better person and being involved in the town or in church. And so I have this idea of a perfect mom, and I constantly have to remind myself that I am not going to be that every day, or maybe I'm only going to fill like two of those aspects. And that is still okay, because there are moments when I am hitting a lot of those different things that I feel like anyway, and that is good. That's okay. Um, as long as I'm not being a negative thing, and I'm not unable to cope with children. I have young children, so they definitely try. My 3-year-old seems to think that she's 16 and that she should just butt my head all the time, and she is right, and her way is the best way, and mom knows nothing. So that is definitely a constant struggle of how do I talk with her? How do I rationalize with her about why we aren't going to eat only mac and cheese, or why we can't just take anything from your sister just because you want it. So there are those things that I struggle with, but then also, of course, with my marriage, I have been married once before, and there was a lot of things as to why we ended up breaking up. We were younger, and he had some instabilities, and I was running more rampant at that time. I was very erratic, and we had a sister of mine live with us, and her husband and her 1-year-old, and that was about 10 months, and that really put a major strain on our marriage. And then we moved across state lines to be closer to my mom, and he had trouble getting work, and that was just like the final blow. So anyway, stresses, when I'm stressed, I don't handle things very well, and I like to pick fights or try to give up, and just I can't handle it. I've gotten better, but still struggle. And so with my current marriage, I I do want to toss in the towel a lot. I want to just say this is hard and I don't want it anymore. I was happier by myself, and that's what I want to be. And I have read some BPD books. I have watched quite a few videos of uh, Dr. Fox, Dr. Daniel Fox, and the different things on how a borderline parent tends to be a single parent, and how, I guess, almost in a way, from my thought process and my experiences, when you have children, then you love them so much, and at least with young children, I think it is so unconditional, and there's nothing that they can do that's really, truly that upsetting. And so it's a safe love in a way, because they're a part of you. No one can take that away from you, and they can't really hurt you. And I'm a little bit afraid of what that is going to mean when they are older and when they get to their preteens, and then they say things like they hate me, or that I'm a bad mom because of this or that. So it is a bit of a concerning challenge for me, because I'm afraid that I'll push them away when that happens. Because in a lot of ways, my mom did that sort of thing. I think my mom suffers from borderline personality disorder really bad. So I've seen a lot of negative ways that borderline can affect parenthood, and so I'm really afraid of showing any of those signs and not correcting my behavior enough to do well when they get to that stage. But anyway, I have that need met of, I love this child is my world, and it's safe and it's easier, and I just take care of them, versus a spouse that honestly to me feels like they hurt me more than anything. You never know if they're going to actually stay or if they're going to betray you, and I have dealt with a lot of betrayal in my marriage. So it just feels like you should be done with that person. It does not feel like they should be in your life anymore, and I don't want to be a statistic about being a single parent with borderline personality disorder, but I struggle. I don't know what to do in that situation of having BPD and being a married, successful spouse. So that is very hard for me. And I have started asking in just the last few weeks, when I'm talking to somebody I know, I say, well, what makes you stay? And what makes it worth it? Because I really want to be like a fly on somebody's wall and see, how do other couples interact? How do they handle things, so that I can kind of gauge and remind myself, no, this isn't all that bad, or I don't know, maybe it really is all that bad and I'm not overreacting. Either way, trying to look for those different things with people that I know, to see what do their lives look like. I used to, up until recently, struggle with all relationships. I could not make friends, because then I was putting myself out there. I could not put myself out there outside of a work friendship to just talk, because I didn't think anyone wanted to talk to me. I am not a very good conversationalist, and I can be extremely awkward and uncomfortable, and people think I'm bored and dazing off, when I'm actually really thinking about what they're telling me, or trying to put myself in their situation and live it out in my mind, because I really live things out and emotionally when I'm either telling a story or I'm hearing it. So friendships were really hard. So this summer I've worked on trying to build some friendships, with some other moms, and that is going pretty well. Relationships with my sisters, that one could kind of be hard if my little sister, hey Kayleen, if my little sister couldn't hang out with me, or she wouldn't answer me for a phone call or a text message for a long time, I felt really hurt. Because aside from my kids, she is my most favorite person in the whole wide world. So having her seemingly want nothing to do with me broke me, and it would send me into a bit of a spiral. So learning to be okay with that, just because somebody isn't getting back to me right away, that doesn't mean that they don't love me or that I don't matter. It just means that they may be going through something, or perhaps that it's just they were truly not around their phone. So relationships, very, very hard. Couple aspects as far as sisters, creating some friendships, that is going better, but as far as with a spouse, that I have not been able to fully grasp. That's just a tough one. And with children, I just try to be vocal, tell them I love them as much as I can, apologize when I get upset. So, I think those are my biggest struggles with BPD, and thank you for listening.